So I thought of another thing to do while I'm waiting on my custom rear subframe. What I'm going to do is go ahead and replace the factory sway bar with one from IE. Now I'm just going to get the car up on the lift so I can access it easily, and then I'm going to swap them out. So first step is I need to remove the stock sway bar. As you can see, I had already upgraded it once. I put the polyurethane bushing kit. Now it's time to disconnect the sway bar from the subframe. Now I need to clean a lot of grime so that my new stuff will mount cleanly. Now that things are semi-clean, what I need to do is remove this bolt and this bolt to mount the aluminum blocks on either side, and I need to make sure I only do one side at a time. So I'm going to do these two bolts over here, install the block, torque it, and then I'm going to move over here and do the same thing with these two bolts. I also want to support the subframe while I do this, at least for this step. So I got my jacking tray here, and then I put a bottle jack and a piece of wood supporting the subframe. Since dissimilar metals like to corrode, what I'm going to do is put a little bit of lithium grease on the mating surface of this thing just to help reduce corrosion. Nothing crazy, just a little bit. The next thing I'm going to do is also optional, but on the new mounting bolts, I'm going to put some more lithium grease on the unthreaded portion, or the shank, and then I'm going to put a little bit of blue Loctite on the threads. This is optional, but it helps the bolt stay torqued and prevent it from corroding in the bore of the block. If the lithium grease mixes with the Loctite, then it won't do anything. So I've only got Loctite on the threads and I've only got grease on the shank. The shorter bolt goes in the front, and the longer bolt goes in the rear. Next thing I need to do is go ahead and torque these, and I'm going to be torquing them to 53 foot-pounds. You know, this thing looks really cool, all shiny, but it'd probably be a pretty good idea to paint them. Whatever, it's already on there. Now it's time for the other side. So I ran into a small problem. Should be able to fix it pretty easily, but the block doesn't fit in this little saddle right here. There isn't enough clearance, so it looks like I need to do some filing to make it fit. So I just noticed something since I had to pull the bushing off. The threads inside the block are actually inserts, which is really nice. If you accidentally strip one, it's easy to remove. So I like that feature. Company that produces this Swaybar does not list the spec for these, but I'm still gonna torque them. I think I'll do like, I don't know, 35 foot-pounds or something like that. Swaybar is now in place. Now I just have to mount the end links with the Heim joints. So the way that the end links are supposed to be installed according to the directions does not work in my car. I was able to get it to work, but I had to do a different order of operations, and this is what I did. So the first thing I did is I took apart this end link, installed it through the control arm, through the bottom. Bushings pinch the control arm just like that. Washer, spacer, nut. And then I snug down the jam nut just like this. So at this point the control arm is sandwiched right here, and as I tighten the jam nut, it's going to squeeze these washers together, which forces these bushings together, which makes them pinch the control arm harder. So I went ahead and did it like that, and then with it installed in the control arm, I took the Heim joint and screwed it into the top, and then I took this end and the end of the sway bar, squeezed them together, and then forced the stud through the sway bar, and then I put the washer and the lock nut on. So at this point everything is where it needs to be, but it's all still loose. So then the next thing that I did is I went ahead and tightened this all the way down. And there's no torque spec listed again. This is a 13, this is a 9/16. I'd say that I tightened it to about 25 foot-pounds or so. The next thing that I did is I took the jam nut and held the bottom. This is a 14, this is a 9/16, and then I tightened them down to get the bushings to bulge a bit and pinch harder. And then the last part is I took the 9/16 by itself and I held the Heim joint. You can see that it has flat spots on either side so that you can put a wrench on this. I just used an adjustable, so that when the car is on the ground, the Heim joint is centered in the bore, because you wouldn't want it like this or like that or some kind of wonky way. You want it to have as much travel as possible inside its bore. So I held this piece with a wrench, and then I tightened this down until it was seated. So I hope that makes sense. I was trying to film it under there, but I really couldn't get a good angle. So based on the installation, it seems like a pretty decent product, but you know, like anything else, the only real way to know is to take it out and do a performance test. There's a few things I'm not super stoked about, like the fact that I had to file down one of the blocks. That's kind of lame. And then the difficulty that I had with the end links, I don't know if that's because this is their new model that has the drop center section here, but the fitment is really not that great with these end links. As you can see, it's not really centered, but this is the best that I could get it. I'm not sure if it's just because of my other suspension modifications or what, but you can see that that washer is kind of going to dig into the control arm over time, and it's the same on the other side. So I'm sure it works best in conjunction with the rear, but I'm not going to install the rear yet because I just have to take it back out when it's time to install my custom subframe, which I'm still waiting for. I know it sucks, but thanks for following along, and thanks for watching this video, and I hope you guys have a great day.